Welcome back to another edition of Tea and Toys. I'm going back in time. I'm going back in time again for a video. We're going to look at the Action Masters. One of probably the dumbest concepts in Transformers history. Transformers that predominantly, that's important, do not transform. That's right, the character of, let's say, Optimus Prime does not transform. But we're not going to go through and look at like 101 pictures of all the different Action Masters that they did. And I'm not going to take away from those of you that did actually enjoy this concept and did actually enjoy those toys when they were given to them, like as a present, or whether it be birthday, Christmas, or whatever celebration you may celebrate. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to sort of go, right, what Action Masters from the 1980s, 1990s? Oh, I'm trying to remember which year it was. I think it's 89, I think. So which of these characters, out of the unique Action Master characters, so we're not going to look at Optimus Prime, we're not looking at Bumblebee, we're not looking at Megatron, we're not looking at Soundwave, so on and so forth, or even the Devastator. We can look at the unique characters that were from the Action Masters. Which ones of those characters have now been given an alt mode? And you'd be surprised, there's actually quite a few that haven't still to this day, 30 odd, 40 odd years later, that have not been given a alt mode. Now I'm only looking at the toys, I'm not looking at comics and cartoons, so just official merchandise of these characters that still haven't had modern day alt mode toys. And we're looking at the characters that have had modern day alt mode toys. So let's go. We're going to go with the Autobots first. So first up, we're going to look at who has not had a modern day toy. As you can see here, Rad, Rollout, Skyfall, and Overrun from the Generation 1 Action Master toy line. There were various like different size classes. So for the sake of this video, we're not looking at like the extended vehicle and all that, because those bits tend to be the things that did actually transform, like the vehicles and the little guns and stuff they came with. You'd get like some characters with the guns or like backpacks and stuff, but it's just looking at the main focused character. So yeah, Rad, you can see here, often thought, could he be a car? And we've got Rollout. Was he like a front scoop similar to funny enough, the character Scoop and Scrapper? Skyfall, again with that kind of name, is he a rocket? Is he a plane? And then Overrun, it could be anything with that name. Could be a plane, could be a car. Look at that cockpit, could be a helicopter. So yeah, that's like the first four of the Autobots. And then the second four, so Sprocket, who was redone, I think, as European exclusive Rumbler. So you can see they are exactly the same toy here. Power Flash and Circuit, I think was an Autobot recolor of the Decepticon Access. So yeah, four more that were not given and still have not to this day been given an official alt mode in official Hasbro merchandise, whether that be convention, official toy, selects, exclusive, so on and so forth. Again, are these guys going to be jets or helicopters? Even this guy here, Power Flash, and maybe a car type vehicle or bike for Circuit. 8 out of all of the Autobot characters still have not had an official transforming Transformers toy. Now there are 2 more, but technically these were released as like mega versions. So these were right at the end of the Action Masters toy line. Thank God for that. They didn't last that long. We've got Windmill and we've got Omega Supreme, like that. So I've given you the animated name for him as well, and he's described in that universe to be sort of downscaled. So I actually wouldn't mind a downscaled version of an Omega Supreme toy in these color. Like this has Selects release written all over it, or another Toxitron Wave, because look at the colors, and a downsized Omega Supreme. I actually wouldn't mind if they did that. He was like the prototype for the Guardians way back when. Like they can think of a backstory. Windmill here, who for me, he's got Rotorstorm vibes. Really has Rotorstorm vibes. I know he's got the gun arm here. It looks like he's got the landing buffers as a leg here, but he has Rotorstorm rejig written over. They could take that Spinister Rotorstorm toy and they could give us a Windmill out of that, I think. So yeah, these two, though technically haven't had a modern day toy, they did kind of have an alt mode even way back then in Action Master. So even when the line was going on, Hasbro realised, oh my god, we're doing Transformers toys. So yeah, that's all the Autobots that have not had a alt mode. So let's have a look at the characters that did and have an alt mode. Now some of them have multiples. So Jackpot, he was done as recent as the Kingdom toy line, a rejig of the Jazz mold, so a new head, some different accessories. But yeah, he's got an official car mode now, and I think it's great they are going back and doing this and giving some of these characters a alt mode. Back then, it was just a weird gimmick. Like, why do they do that? I know a lot of people love it. They love their Action Masters, and I said, like, I'm not taking it away from you. It was just a very odd concept even back then. So yeah, here we are, Jackpot, and then Mainframe actually has got two. So after nearly 40 years, Mainframe has been released twice in his Teletran 1 alt mode and a miniature version of the Ark's bridge. So yeah, he was released first with the Ark in the Kingdom's toy line. So again, so that's two Kingdom toys back to back, and we get this very odd colouring. Why they did the colouring on him like this yellow and grey display here of the toy. And then, as recent as the Dramatic Capture series from Takara, we've got the proper coloured version of Mainframe, which actually I want to have recently picked up myself, and we finally get him with an alt mode. Like, I think it's great that he's just like a computer panel thing, but to make him Teletran 1 was an odd choice. But we have an official kind of transforming Mainframe. But there he is. We have an official Mainframe. In the timelines, now the timelines toy line will come up again and again and again. But Kickoff, or Kickover as he was known in that toy line, again, he got a Jazz mold as an official transforming Transformers toy. So yeah, Kickoff, or Kickover if you wish, official Transformers toy. I actually think he does look really good, and this was a good Jazz mod. But my original Jazz mod had a problem with the legs here, and I could never straighten them out properly. There was something really wrong with my Jazz when I had that toy. So I'm glad I've updated it to the more recent one from the 5-pack. And that's it for the Autobots. When we compare the Decepticons, there were less original Decepticons toys anyway. There always is. There always seem to be less Decepticons than the Autobots of original characters, including the non-original characters. So yes, so out of all the Autobots, 10, so 8 with absolutely no alt mode, and within toy, whether they are in fiction or not, I haven't done that bit. Maybe I should have done, but I haven't done, just official toy releases. So 10 have not seen new toys since the 80s and 90s, with 8 of them never having an alt mode. So let's have a look at the Decepticons. And you can see here, we've got 3 of the original Action Masters that were of no alt mode, came with vehicles, came with backpacks, came with other accessories. Gut Cruncher, who is one of the coolest looking ones, still in toy has not been given an official tank mode. So looking at him, and I'm thinking of the new Fallen action figure, I could see this working. Or maybe a reissue of the Hardhead, Titans Return Hardhead. But then again, I suppose the greens and the yellows look very similar to that Hardhead, so maybe not a good idea. But the shoulder cannon sort of is making me look towards there. Then we've got Takeoff. There's no real indication of what he could be. Takeoff is a jet or a rocket, or even a space helicopter, looking at that. And Charger, I guess you can generic car or armoured vehicle, looking at him. And then we get Turbomaster, who is very reminiscent of looking at the Combiner Bruticus. Look at the shield and the faceplate here, but he turns into like a dual-bladed helicopter, and I can't think of what they're called in actual real life. I'll put it on the screen when in the editing process when I have to look back. But yeah, so he got one of those half transformers. Again, another at the end of the line toy. There were 2 of them, but they have since done with his Wavemate, Turbomaster's Wavemate. Double Punch, as you can see here, very reminiscent of, firstly, Scorponok, but looking at the head sculpt, definitely the Black Zarek sculpt from the Master Force series. So that would actually be quite cool if they did redo that as a Black Zarek reissue. But these are the type of toys that they've never probably reissued them, because it's just a bit of an odd toy line. And then they did release a character, I think as an exclusive, back in the Beast Wars days, or even a BotCon, I think, was a character called Double Punch. Now, in more recent times, he's been retconned to be the same character. So now, this version is the first fully transforming version Although again, looking at the Scorponok, it just it kind of does the same thing anyway. This toy barely transforms. And then in the Timelines toy line, using the Energon Scorponok mold, we get the Timelines Double Punch. Now, to be fair, this was a really good choice to do it. Fantastic choice that they did this mold as a rejig of the Double Punch. It works really well. The colours look great on this mold, and it gets an additional jet mode with it. So great. But what would have been really cool is if they did do the Earthrise Scorponok mold, but as the Black Zarak sculpted head, and did him as another city combiner type thing. Now that would have been really cool. So would this be a call for a leader class or commander sized versions of the city bots? I actually would like that. Make them smaller, make them cheaper. I don't need my Metroplex to be gigantic. I don't need that. So yeah, here we are. Double Punch technically had 2 transforming toys as way back as Beast Wars. So you could argue he's the first one. You could argue that. But there is another character which is a little bit different. So you could argue he was the first one to get an alt mode, official alt mode. But then looking at the actual Action Master, you already had one anyway, so don't know what I was saying there. And then we have Banzaitron. Now, I actually thought when I was going through this that Banzaitron hadn't had an alt mode. And I couldn't be even more wrong. He is the character that's had the most Transformers transforming alt modes. So he had a use of the Energon mold of Mirage and Dreadwing, to the 3rd use for that one in the Timelines, so he was a boat. And then in the Transformers 2010 toy line, which I think went alongside the Revenge of the Fallen from memory, in the Hunt for the Decepticons subline, and he was a tank. And I believe, is this using probably Brawl, looking at this perhaps? And then Takara went massively left of field and made him a sports car in the Alternity line. Why not? So this character, I'm thinking, never had an alt mode officially in toys, let's say, and he's had 3. He's literally the character with the most different versions. So yeah, Banzaitron, boat, tank or car, you take your pick. Have a vote in the chat. And then next up, Croc. Again, Croc with 2 very different alt modes. And again, he's one Action Master whose original toy, it gives you no details or no clue of what he could be. You got the name Croc. Now, I haven't pictured the I think it's Gator Raider, the original Gator Raider, the original sort of partner characters that came with the toys. Now that his gun was called Gator Raider and turned into a gun and a alligator. As you can see here from this version, it's not quite an alligator, using I think like an Arms Micron type looking toy by the looks of that. I might be wrong. So yeah, Croc. And then the first toy again in Timelines. Timelines gives us a good chunk of Action Master characters given their first time round to have an alt mode, and they gave him the Megatron and Dreadwing technically stealth bomber mode, and it works really well for the toy. You can see what they've incorporated, sort of stealth bomber cockpit here, like they've taken that from here. So this works really well. And then comes around Titan's Return. So he's called Croc. His Action Master, his Target Master partner is Gatorade, the crocodile. I think, do they call the head that in this one? I'll have to double check. So what they've done again here, the light up bit here, using it from here. So this here, they've done a great job with both of these versions of this character. Now I'm not a big fan of headmasters anyway. Again, not a gimmick that I loved. So you've got, I think, Gatorade as the head. And then they take Croc, they give him the Skull Cruncher crocodile alligator mold for the main toy body. Now, regardless of the issues with the loose legs, again, this one works really well. It works fantastic as a Croc, giving him an alt mode. And the name makes sense, right? Croc turning into a stealth bomber. Why is he called Croc? Croc turning into a great big crocodile type transformer makes a lot of sense. So again, vote your hearts out. Which version do you prefer here out of these 2? Or is he a candidate for a missing Horicon where he can have a headmaster, he can have a jet mode, and he can have an animal mode? That's just me throwing it out there. Next up, Treadshot. Now, Treadshot, it is speculated that this design, as you can see, the revolving bullet chamber here with what potentially could be a barrel of a gun here, and the handle of a gun here. He's got the right colours, he's got the right sort of features, and it's often speculated that he is... Now, it was released in Italy and released in Japan. So in Japan, it was called the 357 Magnum Robo, and in the Italian re-release pre-Transformers, so pre-Transformers, as the Highway Patrol Robo. I found this old image of a box here to go with it, so we get some see what it would have looked like in alt mode. So he was just a revolver, a gun, a officer's patrol, a highway patrolman's revolver. So it's often speculated that again the head is very similar. Yeah, they didn't use the blue eyes, they used orange, but the blue is still on there. So there's a definitely, I can see why people think that this toy was using this one as inspiration to make that. Since then, Timelines, Transformers Timelines, gives us Treadshot using that version and that year's Warpath mold to give us a tank. Again, look what they've done here. They've done a great job with the tank type. So using the Warpath mold in this instance, I don't think the Kingdom one would work for him. I don't think it would actually work with this character. So this mold, more gnarly looking tank, works for me as a version of this. So again, the colours, they did a great job. And he's even got his Target Master friend as well. So again, vote away. Should he be the revolver, or should he go for the full-on Timelines tank? Again, this guy technically the first one to have an alt mode, but as it wasn't an actual official licensed Transformer, yes, it's a transforming toy, but it's not Transformer. So you could argue it goes to Double Punch. So but then Double Punch technically already has an alt mode. So yeah, the arguments are there. Far away in the comments. And then we get Slicer. Now, Transformers loves a repaint. It loves a repaint. But this villainous looking Wheeljack as Slicer. Mwah, I love it. I love the colours. I love the design. It just works with this. Goes boom, bad guy. So at first released as a Timelines toy. Surprise, surprise. So we get the Wheeljack. I think this is the Energon toy. In Energon, it was downshift because they'd already used the Wheeljack for the other guy. But by the by. And then as a dual functioning character, and it is something that they put in the comic books, is that the Shattered Glass version of Wheeljack is identical to the Decepticon Slicer from the normal universe. So it's a dual function toy, much like the Ultra Magnus was for the Shattered Glass, and you could use him as your Delta Magnus if you wanted, but he had a different head, so you could visually show it's a different character, whereas this Wheeljack here, I think he has the red logo on the arm. I'll have to double check that. It's probably a purple one, stick it on there. But yeah, a great looking toy in these colours. It just boom, it works. It looks fantastic. Again, I think it's European exclusive, so it's cool that he's been given a lot of love in fiction. And then we get Axel. Now, I believe when they were trying to unify character names and character looks, I believe that's how we've got the Robots in Disguise version of Axor. I think he's with the O as well as this version. So they've gone, yeah, this is the same character. And that's fine, because in Japanese continuity, Car Robots, so I don't think this toy was released in Car Robots, but in Car Robots, it's the same continuity as Generation 1. How that works, I've got to look that up again to see how that works. So I think that's why they've unified the axes into one character. There's not that many similarities. Like the colouring isn't really there. Okay, there are lights on the chest, but that's about as far as you're going. The colours aren't right. The face isn't right. So yes, at a stretch, they have the same name and they have lights on their chest. So they unified the character. And then we finally got in Transformers 2010, again from the Hunt for the Decepticons subline, we got this. I think this is the first Lockdown they did in the toy lines before Lockdown became a character in the movies. Again, I don't like this, but again, still cool that AXA here gets an official toy. But I can't see Circuit looking like this, because this looks very villainous. Like Circuit would not work for this toy. And looking at this, maybe they should have done these bits as yellow that fit with the lights on the chest, but that's by the by. So yeah, AXA there being the last of the Decepticon characters that did actually get a alt mode. Quick back throughs: AXA, Slicer, Treadshot, Croc, Banzai-Tron, Double Punch, all have got official transformations in more modern release toys, leaving us, let's say, 4 3 and 1, so 4 Decepticons still to get a modern toy. And the Autobots, again, they see mostly Decepticons have all been given like a different mode, with the exception of 3.5 characters. And then only 3 of the Autobots have been given alt modes, leaving us 8 without. So what do you guys and girls think? Do you want more of these Action Masters to get a alt mode? Or are you like, no, I like them how they were? Stop talking. I like my non-transforming Transformers. Don't forget to love, like, subscribe, and see you guys and girls in the next video.